Hi everyone, it's Gene Calderon here with Gene Calderon Apologetics Ministries, continuing on our video series, and today, being Thursday, we're going to hit our theme of Theology Thursday. And what we do with Theology Thursday is we really try to explore who or what or even how God exists, and how does he relate to us, how does he relate to creation, and just so many different aspects of where God can go in understanding what theology is. Theology basically means the study of God, a theistic God, and that's the kind of God that biblical Christianity holds to. If you don't mind, I want to start with a psalm that we find in the Bible, Psalm 139, starting at verse 7 through verse 12, where it reads, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. And if I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light will become night around me. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you." So the question we want to ask today is, what is God's relationship with space? Because one of the things that we hold to and that we say and that we actually believe is that God is everywhere. The question is, what do we mean by that? How can we understand that God is everywhere at all times? Well, let's start off with two mistakes we don't want to make. The first one is God doesn't dwell in just one spot, okay? So when we understand that God is everywhere, I think that one's pretty easy to understand, that God is just not in one spot. But in the same way, we always refer to God as being in heaven. Well, that would be the second thing we don't want to make the mistake of, is saying that God is in heaven as if heaven is an established place and he's kind of sitting there on his throne. When we say things like that, we are speaking metaphorically, saying that he is on his throne or seated on his throne. We really do mean that he is in control. He is the authority, not that he's physically sitting in a throne somewhere. See, because God is spirit. And if he is spirit, that means he has no body. He has no physical attributes that he himself possesses, right? God is not a mist or a gas. He's not surrounding the earth that way as atmosphere would. It's not even like light filling a space. Because if we accepted those kinds of understandings, then that would mean that we could have a bigger portion of God or a smaller portion of God, depending on the space that we're talking in. And if we understand that God is perfect, all existing, that in all places at all times, that wouldn't make sense to say he's smaller here but bigger there, right? If he is perfect and in all places at all times, he would have to be fully here and fully anywhere else at the same time. So making that kind of mistake runs into all kinds of problems. I mean, for one thing for sure, we know that the universe itself is continuing to expand. And that would have to lead to the understanding that God is expanding. We don't hold that to be true. So we must mean something else by that. See, the Bible teaches that God is fully present everywhere. There's not a partial presence that he's in. There's not a partial space that he's filling. But how does God's entire presence exist everywhere? How do we explain that? Well, God would have to relate to the universe, similar to how our minds or our souls relate to the rest of our body. The same way that we are not just physical beings, we do have an immaterial side to us. Like I said, our spirit and our soul, those are both immaterial, yet they relate to our entire body. So the Bible is very clear in the way that it teaches that the universe is not God's body. I mean, God's the one that created the universe, so he must be beyond that. And nor does God need the universe to have a sense or feeling of it or to act on it. So God transcends space. He created space, and therefore he's not bound by it. But he's also conscious and active in every point of space. And there's no place that God's knowledge or power cannot reach. So what does that mean for us? That means for us that we can contact God in any location. Why? Because as he's promised, God is with us. And we can live our lives in his presence, being thankful and reverent, always being thankful and understanding God is here, God's presence is with me, whether I believe in him or not, but also to revere him and to honor him in that way. And we don't have to pray for God to be with us. I don't know if you've ever prayed that, God be with me, God be with me. I know what you mean by that. God carry me through, God, but to say that God was not here until I started praying would be false. So when you say God be with me, well, what does that mean? God, help me, get me through this, right? Reveal your will in my life kind of thing. But to say that he wasn't there wouldn't make sense. Instead, we should be thanking God. God, I thank you that you are already here with me. Even though I may not feel you, I may not even be in the mood to be in your presence, I know that you are here. And in fact, Jesus made this promise before he ascended back to the Father. He said in Matthew chapter 28, the very last chapter of Matthew, surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. So when we talk about God and his omnipresence being all places at all times, how he relates to space, we need to understand he transcends space. He's beyond space and time. And so by that, he's not limited by that. It doesn't matter how much room you have. It doesn't matter how much light you have or how much air you have. It doesn't mean that more of God is in that place. If God is perfect at all times and in all places, that means he is fully aware and fully present in any space that we may be in, which can give us the confidence that I can cry out to God and he's there and he will hear me. But it also keeps us in mind that we ought to be reverent of God and realize he's always watching. He's always wanting me to do things according to his will and always wanting us not to sin against him, but to live obediently, to give him glory, to be able to share his word to all people. And even when we're speaking to other people, he has promised. The Spirit is with us. He is with us. He goes before us even. And so understanding God's omnipresence is something that, again, the words sometimes we may get confused or we may even slip in using the words in a way that might not make perfect sense, but we know what we mean. When you run across a skeptic or somebody who is very particular about the words you use, we have to be careful and be able to explain God's existence in a way that makes the best sense possible for believers and unbelievers alike. We want to be able to be clear about who God is and how he exists in our lives. So I hope this helps you. We'll continue to look at more of these Theology Thursdays as we present more videos coming along. And if you like this, hey, click on that YouTube channel, click the notification bell, subscribe. And then if you'd like to support a local missionary, I'm here in Northwest Indiana, working on college campuses, working with teen groups, working with churches, working in the area of Northwest Indiana to share truths. So if you're interested in helping me reach students, reach the community with God's word, you can support me by clicking on the link to support a local missionary and be part of my team. I reach out, I try to offer my team members as many opportunities to join me for events that I hold or even local events that are being held by some good apologetic friends of mine. When we bring in scholars, we bring in conferences and things of that sort, I try to get you involved in that and give you the best opportunity to make the most of those. So thank you for watching. I hope this helps. Again, leave a comment, leave a question. How have you understood God's presence? Do you have an analogy that you like to use? Do you think it's the correct one? Or maybe there's something in there you'd like to kind of tweak a little bit. Leave some comments, let us know what you think. And by all means, please share this with friends and family on all those social media outlets that we have available. And I'd really appreciate your support. God bless you. Thank you so much for watching.